Okay, hello everyone, and welcome to our final training session. It may be kind of hard to believe that this is our final week, but you all are here and you've been working hard. And we all, I think, was it five of your instructors, we're really looking forward to seeing all the great work that you're going to produce this week and how you're going to tie everything together. So this slide is just showing you our agenda for the week. And how you're going to bring everything together by adding package design to your brand collateral. One of your packages are, one of the package designs needs to be completed for your midweek critique. And then in the end, you're going to do 3 different package designs and mock up one of them. And then you're going to create a presentation of your entire presentation, video presentation. And you're going to share that for your peers to review. So that's how this week is going to come together. So yeah, so the self-explanatory. So I am actually wanted to show you first a student example so you can see the 3 different designs that were created. And Peter has shown you this particular student's work earlier as well. But I just wanted to bring this back up as a really good example. You can see, the logo concept and how each of the phases came along. And this particular student has incorporated some patterning, and you can see the color scheme and how the different harmonies are produced in the 3 different designs that she created. And then the final one being the mock-up. So, and that's basically the main project for this week, but then you're going to make sure you go back and customize your PDF presentation, your InDesign file, so it matches your brand, and do your video presentation of your entire project. So I'm gonna just hop over to FSO, and everybody can see the screen, right? All right. Can everybody see the screen? Yeah.
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay.
Yes,
Awesome.
I can see it.
Sorry, I'm just like I'm working off of dual screens, and it's just kind of acting a little funny. All right. So this is the project that you're working on this week. And when you come to the project, you are going to see that there are 2 different templates. There's the regular template, and then there's the pinch lid. And you'll see there's an AI file, and then there's a mockup zip file. So you're going to choose either to do the regular carry or the pinch lid one. You're just going to choose one, and you're going to download both corresponding files. Okay, so if you do pinch lid, then you'll download both pinch lids, right? So this is going to be the flat template that you're going to lay everything out on in Illustrator. And then this is going to be the mock-up that's going to show you how it's all going to fold up together that you'll use in your mock-up, basically. And then the videos will walk you through how to do all of that. So that is essentially that. And then, of course, like I said, you're going to do your video presentation when you're done. You don't have to use Spark. It's just recommended, but certainly you could use another format. Just make sure you save it in such a way that we can actually access it, and make sure that you speak for your presentation. That is part of the rubric in there. So let me know if you guys have any questions with that. All right, so let's come back here. All right, so now tonight we're going to be talking about color and packaging. And before we really jump into what is color and packaging, I wanted to just talk briefly about the materials. So as you can see here, this is Burt's Bees, and you can see that each different material has a slightly different color to it. That's because printing processes are not the same on every single material. So that's why Pantone will make, one for packaging, one for textiles and fabric, one for plastics, and one for basically paint. So keep that in mind as just as designers, that there is going to be slight little nuances, and that's why you need to reference the Pantone color guides to ensure that you're getting the most accurate colors through the different variants of materials when you get into the field. So let's begin talking about color and packaging by asking, why is package design in this color theory class? Well, products are everywhere and they use color. Implementing package design into your brand collateral for this course is a good training ground for you to apply not only graphic design, but also marketing and industrial design as well. Now, color trend awareness is an important factor in assuring a package design's color is current, and an understanding of the basic science of human perception of color, as well as consumer behavior, should guide your color selections. So, well, how does packaging relate to retail? Did you know that humans are impulsive buyers? Are you guys impulsive buyers? Studies show that 70 to 80% of purchasing decisions are made inside the store. I don't know how many of you make a list before you go to the grocery store and then you always come out with more than you planned, right? So what this tells us is that the appearance of a product is extremely important. It shouldn't be any surprise that color can influence our purchasing decisions, but you might be taken aback by how powerful color can be. For example, when consumers are presented with a new product, they tend to make decisions about the product very quickly in about 90 seconds. And the most important component in that decision is color. Color accounts for roughly 90% of our initial judgment. And it's really no surprise that companies spend so much money and effort into packaging, logos, and branding because color matters a lot. And in the world of package design, the package is the salesperson. So you have to pay attention to this. Now, what are some of the roles of packaging? Well, packaging serves many different roles, such as it contains the product, right? It makes sure that it's efficient, it's ready for consumption. It protects the product, right? It makes sure that it's, doesn't have physical damages, whether it be from the transportation and the shock and vibration to get it to the store. It preserves the product. It can extend the shelf life by making sure that moisture doesn't get in or microorganisms, things like that. It also, and this is what most important to us in this particular class, is that it communicates and it promotes. So when we talk about communication, we're talking about that it allows the consumers to identify and recognize the brand of the product that's on display. And we talk about promotion, we're talking about it's going to draw the consumers to the information that appeals to them and influence their purchasing decisions. So those are the roles of package design. Now, the trick, though, is to identify with your category, right? There's certain trends in every single category, but to also stand out from the competition. So you want to be like it, but then you also want to be different. And so this is basically a paradox, belonging and also standing out. Now, what do you guys think of these chocolate bars? What's your initial reaction? Any comments? Let me ask it another way.
It doesn't really look like it's selling chocolate.
Okay, so there's a little confusion. Do any of them look like chocolate bars if you had to pick one of them or two of them out?
The brown one and maybe like the second row, the second one.
Okay, so the ones that have more color or like the flavor cues are definitely having a stronger presence to you, a stronger appeal, okay? So that's just something to keep in mind, and we're gonna build off of that concept here in a little bit. So now let's take a look at these chocolate bars by Moonstruck. They're also using color, but does it feel like chocolate here?
I would say yes.
Yes. So what is making this particular product give that connotation that it really is a chocolate bar, as opposed to maybe this one, even though it said chocolate, it almost, you might have thought like it was Fruity Pebbles or something else.
It's very
a little man on the moon kind of reminds me of chocolate.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the shape.
Right, and it has this embossed, so it's raised. It almost feels like chocolate coming off of the packaging. Now, what do you guys think of these beautiful illustrations on the package?
like the color.
No, the colors are more for flavor cues in the background. but I'm just saying like, and it providing color contrast. But I'm just talking about like these, you see like these birds and these squirrels and these dreamy like clouds and things like that.
It's something. Oh, okay.
It's a lot of like design, but it's not too busy because it's kind of all the same. And they're really like simplistic. So it's like super fancy and complicated, but still works.
I don't
right.
know if they're,
Go ahead.
I was going to say, I don't know if they're meant to or if it is or not, but it gives me the vibe that it's like chocolate from like near the rainforest or Brazil, like
Mhm.
a beam that's grown out that way.
Okay, so it has a very like South American, Colombian, that kind of feel.
Yeah.
Kelby says it's mythical, pretty, elegant, says Marquetta.
Cool, very cool. Yeah. So do you think this is premium or just like, would you pay $1 for this or $5?
Oh,
Probably 5.
I like that you asked premium. It looks premium to me.
Yeah, definitely premium. So market research showed that consumers absolutely loved Moonstruck, not only for their taste, but for the way that they look, the emotions they evoke, and how they capture the imagination. So consumers loved the look, and it was translated into how they approached the product and, just the feeling of eating it. All right, so color and packaging. So we talked about, being in the field, but also being different. So in a competitive marketplace, the package design must attract, create interest, and affect a consumer's purchasing decision. The goal is to differentiate your brand as a unique brand. So here we have these sriracha sauces. That's almost a tongue twister. Who wants to point out to me, what are some of the color combinations that you see? Did you say more analogous? More triad? What would you say? No? Okay. So here,
Okay.
so here obviously this is more of an analogous color scheme, right? Yellow, green, blue. But because the yellow is very faint, it's providing adequate color contrast. But here we have more of a triadic scheme, right? The yellow, red, this orangey red, and the blue. But the color contrast isn't working as well. So this one to me is not as strong as this one and this one, where the lighter background is really allowing the text to stand out. But either way, I think that this product is totally unique in the market space. And if you saw it on the shelf among the other sauces, it would stand out. It would definitely get your attention. And you would, maybe consider looking at, picking it up, examining the label a little bit more. All right, so here are some things to consider before executing a design and color choices in your packaging. So first, what does your brand stand for? So this particular list actually comes from Design Force Inc. And they put this list together. They've worked with major brands such as Procter & Gamble and Lever and so forth. And they said, first of all, what does your brand stand for? And you guys already have the answer to that because Peter has provided that to you in your creative brief. And then the second question is, who is your customer? And again, you already outlined that when you did your target audience, right? You did the different personas. And then the third question is, what about your brand, color included, prompts buy responses from the target consumer? The fourth question is, when packaging products for a global audience, what meanings are ascribed to the colors used and how should they be modified? And so again, the very first lecture was all on color connotations and how you can basically manipulate people with color, right? There's a reason why you walk down the dessert aisle and you're gonna see a lot of red, right? Because red is all about desire, all kinds of appetites, okay? These particular chocolate bars, I just really love the packaging, and they use the illustrations from a 19th century artwork of Henry Rousseau, and he was a self-taught artist, but I just thought this was really beautiful. So I'm continuing on with the questions that Design Force Inc. put together. The fifth thing that you would ask yourself when, before executing is, can a unique color be developed to support the brand? one that is unusual in the category, or can the brand signature color be combined with another color to achieve a distinctive look and feel? And then number 6 would be, how does the chosen package color or color combination make the consumer respond or feel? How did it go in the testing phase? And then the last question, which doesn't really apply to our class, but some of you may decide as you do your 3 designs that maybe you do want to explore 3 different flavor cues. That kind of be up to you. Lastly, if the retailer shelves a few of the items from the product line, how effective will it be when blocked off on the shelf set? Will it have a strong enough presence if, say, 3 items are merchandised in a particular store set from the 6 available? So those are the 6 or 7 questions that you should consider. And now what we're going to do is we're going to look at some professional examples, and I've kind of put them into subgroups to kind of categorize them, because I want you to focus in on certain things in each category. Now, most of these packages will fall into more than one category, but I've just kind of done that just for organizational purposes to, so that we can understand each of the things that you might want to explore as you're designing your packaging this week. So this one is obviously Firefly, and following the success of the limited edition of Superfly, B&B Studio delivered an upscale rebrand. And the use of these lush botanicals and crisp fruits is very tantalizing, right? Can you almost taste them? Yeah? What are your thoughts as you see these?
I like that it's not like an actual like image that they just plopped on there. It looks like it's kind of like almost a draw, not chalk, but
Illustration.
yeah.
Yeah, these beautiful illustrations. So the first concept that we're looking at, the first category, is enticing imagery, right? So this imagery is really like appetizing. It's drawing you in. I mean, I'm almost willing to buy it because the flavor is in my mouth as I'm walking down the store shelf, or I want that flavor in my mouth. Okay, I'd like to know your guys' thoughts on this one. This is a brand that launched August 19, 2019. It's called Beak Pick, and they use birds and fruits elegantly fused together to form their brand. It's considered natural and modern packaging, right? They have jams, teas, and fruit preserves in their lines. So what do you guys think?
It's very trendy. I like that the design with the bird looking like a fruit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Anybody else? Any other comments?
I see this as a company that's very, very pro-environmental. Like I could see this type of package maybe saying 100% recyclable materials are made with, you know, recycled aluminum, something like that. I just get that kind of vibe from this, you know, kind of nature with food vibe.
Okay, all right.
I
Kelby
like any
says
packaging. That,
in the chat, Kelby's saying very unique, catches the eye, makes you take another look.
Mhm.
Lakendra says looks simple but effective.
I wonder what the back looks like.
Yeah, I don't have an image of the back, but that'd be interesting. Okay, so now we're looking at, okay, how many of you would eat these ice cream bars? How many of you want to eat it right now?
Yeah, definitely.
I'm ready right now too. So these bars were a huge hit in the Russian market, and they paved the way for a totally new category of Oriental sweets. The package is visually stunning, right, with its colorful and eclectic Asian motifs, such as, for example, you have like these OG arches, yeah? You've got like these paisley designs. It almost looks like, you know, henna tattooing. But then you've got these beautiful like pieces of fruit, right? And then like these huge flavor cues, you know? So yeah, I think it's really quite remarkable myself. Okay, so that was enticing imagery. Our second category that I've kind of put everything together is under flavor cues. And obviously we saw that before, but again, we're just highlighting it now. And so here you can see in these crispy Callies, They've, you know, for example, chosen green for sour cream and chives, blue for sea salt, and the brown for barbecue, yeah? So this is a very common and popular way of marketing food products is with using the color for flavor cues. Whether you're choosing wine, you know, do you want white wine or red wine? Or how much would you pay? Let's say, what do you think versus plastic bottle versus a wine bottle? How much more would you pay for water, a sparkling water?
Glass bottle will always get more money out of it.
Right? So these sparkling waters, like you have Intrigue, Mango, Arousal, Blueberry, Curiosity, Kiwi. So they're using the color for flavor cues.
I never had water out of glass bottle.
I've only done it in restaurants for the most part. So yeah. Now we're looking over here at these palm fruit juices, and the product itself, the contents inside the glass bottles, is so colorful and flavorful that it becomes part of the flavor cue itself. So rather than, you know, putting a bunch of labeling over it, they've done these small little labels that just use contrasting colors to really let the flavor cue of the product itself shine. Now, when we come over to the water over on the right, water, we want our water to be pure, right? So they've done something I think that is pretty unique in that they've, you know, put these leaves that almost have this sense of purity in nature. But every time you rotate the bottle, you get a different view. So it produces this aesthetic experience, you know, where you can just keep, you know what I mean? You're just involved in it because every time you move it, you feel like you have a different scene. Any comments on either of these?
Yeah, so Juanita says you're pretty much paying for the bottle, not the water.
Yeah, it doesn't look very tasty to me. It doesn't look like it tastes that good to me.
Well,
I
it's
was watching
definitely-
a show.
Yeah.
I was watching a show with Gordon Ramsay, and he changed bar stools at a restaurant and said that going from metal to wood, somebody will pay $30 more a plate just for changing a bar stool. Visuals are everything, man.
Good point. All right. Now, before we move on, so this is, again, we're talking about color cues. I want to just caution you, give you a strong warning about color and not the packaging, but the contents inside. So we are used to color for food when it comes to candy. We're okay with that. We don't mind having a blue Skittle or, you know, a green M&M, but we're not that way when it comes to other products. So in 2000, I know this is a long time, probably before many of you were born.
This was such a flop. I remember this.
Heinz decided to come out with a whole color line of ketchups. And they decided to first start with green and purple. Green in correspondence to the Shrek movie that was coming out. And then purple followed. And you know what they found out? That it was extremely popular among children because children don't have the built-in connotations of how color should be. But then they thought, well, they thought it was such a success, they were going to continue, but it ended up being a huge flop because adults have color connotations and they're the ones that buy. And so for an adult, you know, green means that the tomato is not ready and purple means that the tomato is rotten. We want our ketchup to be red. So we have built-in color connotations. Tomatoes are red, so therefore ketchup must be red. So when you use color, make sure that you use it for the packaging and not the product inside. Now, there is an exception, obviously, and that exception is when you're targeting children, right? So I don't know if you've seen these in the store. They were just launched recently by Kellogg's, you know, instead of Lego My Eggo, they now have, you know, Kellogg's dessert basically for waffles. Why not, right? Breakfast is dessert mostly in America anyway. And you can see that you can have the blue mermaid waffle or the unicorn waffle, etc. So the game has changed when it comes to the youth. Their color connotations are not built up as much. I personally would have a hard time eating these because of the colors off. Any comments before I move on?
I like the color because they're selling so many of them. That's what I'm saying. They're selling so many of them. Like if you sell like 1 million of them, then the color like fits good.
All right. Okay, so our third grouping is illustrative art. And to me, this is just a really fun and playful category. The whole point of it is usually to humor and to delight. So here you can see we've got markers, and then we've got these wanted potato chips, and they have little character names. And so like the mustaches kind of match the characters. And then we have this Chumbi ice cream. And so how in the world are you gonna sell jalapeno and chocolate ice cream, right? Well, you're gonna delight the user with this wonderful illustration on the front. And they're like, I might wanna try that. That looks fun. So here's another example of Bandits. This is a British brand. They do sell it at some Aldi locations. I haven't tried it, but it's just like a dairy-free alternative for children. And you can just see just adding these little bandit characters just makes it fun and whimsical. And then I really love this one. This is Papitos, and these cleverly illustrated potato snacks play off of the brand name with a pop art style. So the brand name is Papitos, and then they use pop art in their style. So everything from the colors to the comic typefaces is reminiscent of that era. And this is really clever in a way for chips, because chips is something that often breaks in the transportation process, right? So you don't want to be able to see inside the product. So either you're going to take a photograph and place it on the packaging, but in this case, you really don't need the photograph. The illustration is just fun. All right, so I'm gonna give you guys a little bit of time to look at these and feel free to comment. But again, going back to like, you can see the flavor cues, right? But also, particularly, you can just see these great illustrations. So like, look at the chef in each one, and then look at the little puff characters. So these just tell such wonderful stories. Any comments?
I immediately understand what each one of them are selling and what their flavor profile is. I'm a sucker for good packaging, and these guys, I would have bought them immediately.
No, I agree.
Kelby says these are gorgeous. The stories fit the flavors.
Right.
I wouldn't know where I would find a bag of chips like that.
Well, I haven't seen it in the store yet, but when it comes, I'm going to buy it as well.
Raphael says this flavor is as unique as the drawing.
Okay, so our next category, I've kind of grouped two of them together because they kind of play off of each other. It's just repetition, right, where we see elements being repeated as well as patterns. And so over on the left, you can see this collagen booster. And this is something that I would really recommend for you guys. Sometimes I see students trying to put patterning behind elements. And what it does is it just makes the whole composition look really muddy and crowded. So this is a really clever way to kind of get away from that. You have some negative space that you can fill with a pattern, and then you can use the Gestalt principle of reification, right? The finer principle of closure, right? So your mind can see the white square, the right triangle, right? Even though it's not obvious, but your mind will fill in the gaps. But it allows the text to stand out and be very clearly read, and then you can still see like all this beautiful foliage that kind of gives you the idea of it being very natural. So we have like repetition of different leaves and colors and patterns on the left. And then over on the right, you can see we have repetition of colors again, but we also have like the repetition of these like dots that you see throughout, right? Whether it's up in the left corner, over the little purple red circle on the strawberry. So all of that's gonna tie it together. So let's take a look at a couple more. The example on the left is tea boxes. personally, without it being in the tea aisle, I might have thought it was some type of stationery. Did anybody else feel that way?
Yeah, I can see that, or like printer ink. But I feel like so much products go into this. I just saw like some vape stuff that's going to the same exact packaging. It blew my mind.
Yeah. So on the right, we have these fruit, these are popsicles, I believe. Well, they're fruit bars. And then they use these patterning to kind of almost tell a flavor cue. So for example, the red and light pink one is cola flavor. And so they're kind of showing like a fizz with the pattern. So, and then so like the blue and light blue one is lemonade ice block. And so they kind of make it look like, you know, ice going through.
I honestly, when I was looking at those ice blocks or whatever, I thought those patterns were like animal patterns. I thought that was a zebra and a giraffe.
That's,
So I mean, I don't know if they could change it up to make it, I guess, convey that message better.
No, I appreciate your opinion. I was just curious. I'm just showing you guys some examples. But yeah, all right. So this particular product by Buttermilk, they're artesian confectionery treats. And they've combined like illustration with the product itself, which can be very helpful when the product may be kind of lackluster in appearance, you know, not visually stimulating like sometimes other ones are. It can just tie the whole thing together. But this particular packaging, the sides, are essentially useless for content information because of the way that they're folding in. You wouldn't want to put anything important on there. So they filled it with this beautiful patterning. And I think it just ties the whole thing together. And this is the whole collection. So. All right. This is called the Doctor, and this is a brand of coffee. And they use patterning that's distinct to each region of the world that they draw the coffee from. For example, the one that I particularly like is in the bottom left corner where they have those whales, and that's the Dominican Republic. But you can see too, just even in the Brazilian one that's a little bit larger, the colors they chose are very much, you know, from the flag in their culture. All right, this is a really fun brand. Peter's the one who introduced me to this. I had never heard of them before. It's a Russian brand, and they specialize in Italian and Japanese cuisine. So basically, you can get a pizza and a sushi all from the same place. And they're called Mama Mafia. And you see this great illustration artwork, right? But the illustration artwork becomes a pattern, right? That's kind of repeated and used throughout their packaging. And the whole premise behind the concept is, you know, you get a mix of food because you get the home taste of what mama would have made. And it's supposed to come to you faster than a speeding bullet. So that's the whole play off of Mama Mafia. And here are a couple more pieces from their collateral. Any comments? I just think this is so amazing.
DeAndre says it sounds delicious.
Well, definitely nobody would be fighting in the house about what to order, right? Everybody could get what they want.
Yeah, it's funny, says Marquetta.
The branding looks so good. It's also cohesive.
All right, our next category is a little unusual, and this is what I like to call collectible art. And every now and then, particularly you can see on the left, this is for the Olympics. They come out with special packaging, limited edition, and you know, it's only for established brands that really do this. So you can see like Coca-Cola and Mountain Dew, but it's like you don't want to throw the bottle away. You're gonna keep it. It's gonna become a vase for flowers, or you're just gonna put it, you know, on a shelf somewhere. It's basically packaging that serves as art that, you know, will stay with you forever. And this one is a newer brand, but I think in some ways it can be art too. because you can mix and match these cans and line up the faces to create different faces. So, you know, why not do that while you're, you know, drinking a couple beers, right? It might actually get you to drink a couple more.
You got to make the set. Yeah.
Yeah, you'll be able to come up with all the different faces. Again, feel free to comment anytime. All right. Our next category, let's see, we're doing time. All right, is beauty. And some of you have beauty products. So I didn't want to neglect this particular category and just focus in on food. And the unique thing about beauty products is, you know, when it comes to food products, you're trying to appeal to the sense of taste. When it comes to beauty products, you're trying to appeal to the sense of smell, right? So you don't want to just take the product and just slap on the cover what the product is. That doesn't do anything to appeal to the target audience. So as you look here, you can see that you're going to see a lot of botanicals, you're going to see a lot of foliage, you know, things like that. These are the kind of things that you often see. And you're also often going to see a lot of white space in the packaging, because white space, and it doesn't necessarily have to be white, but just space in general kind of has this connotation of cleanliness, purity. So this is what's kind of unique when you think about package designs in the field of beauty, right? You want anything that's going to appeal to the sense of youth, right? What's going to keep the crow's feet from popping up on my eyes, and the sense of smell. That's what you really want to target with. So here, what do you guys think of this particular line? What do you think it smells like?
Flowers.
Yes. Right?
Yeah, flowers. People are saying floral flowers.
Usually flowers. Usually flowers.
Yeah, I'm getting hibiscus, like just being outside.
And you guys see the color relationship, right? We've got, like, you know, these complementary colors, the pink and the green, and then the other green, you know, the complement of that would almost be on that purple side. So just this very, like, all of the color relationships that you guys learned are there. I threw this one in to, like, you know, just emphasize the fact that it does not have to be white. So, you know, beauty packaging does not have to be white, but, you know, just, you know, again, just remember that you're appealing to the senses, and particularly the sense of smell. So here we have a line, Crush, and they use these metallic foils. And you can see just, you know, like designs of roses and water and, you know, skeletons of leaves and stuff like that. Any comments on this one? No?
I'd buy it.
All right, who do you think the target audience is for this one?
Kids.
Kids.
Right, let's sunblock up
Children.
those kids. Right, I think even it makes a kid want to put their sunblock on. Okay, so this is a new brand that Gillette has launched. It's called Happy. And the whole thing is that for, I don't know how long, men and women have bought razors separately. And for us that are women, we know that sometimes we pay more money for our razors, even though they're exactly the same. So the whole point of this Happy brand by Gillette is that you can't tell if it's a man or a woman. It's just this kind of, you know, mysterious blue person. And it's supposed to break down the notion that this is supposed to be for one gender or for another. It's for whoever wants it. Any comments on this one?
I really like the packaging on it. I think it's really modern, really classy, and it catches your eye. It looks, you know, fun and exciting. I really like the packaging.
It also breaks far away from the traditional Gillette brand.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's what I was gonna say. I would have never guessed this is Gillette because it looks so modern, so clean, and then the whole gender neutral portion of it is like really impressive to me.
Okay, this is a Brazilian brand, and it's called Vegan Sailor's Revolution. So you can have the shampoo, the conditioner, and the lotion. And they use these beautiful illustrations. I could have put it in the illustrative category, but I kept it in the beauty category. Any comments on these?
Get a vibe, a little bit of fitness. You know, I see kind of a muscle-bound guy. You know, got a guy with a good jawline. Maybe this is for, you know, the weekend warrior weightlifter who wants to not get, you know, stretch marks, whatnot for bodybuilding competitions. That's what I get a little bit of a vibe here.
But it is a kind of interesting too, like as you look at the packaging, like how different audiences are targeted globally, you know? Whereas this might not be so popular in one region, it might be really popular in another. So, okay, our next category is just creative packaging shapes. So the downside to sometimes the unique packaging shapes is that they are not always stackable, and that can be a real problem for stores. They don't always want things that aren't stackable because they want to be able to get as much product up as possible. So that's something to keep in mind, that, you know, creative packaging can be fun, but you have to think, you know, what is the end goal? Where is it going to be sold? So Kleenex, obviously, they came out with this line of these fruity packaging during the summer, because their summer months, their sales really slump. And so they thought that, you know, someone walking down the aisle, maybe to get paper plates or paper towels or whatever, would see these packages, and they would make an impulsive decision. Hey, you know what? I could use some extra Kleenex or, you know, tissues in my bathroom, and they would pick these up because they're fun, hence boosting their sales. And then I just thought this was really creative, the way they use these little headphones to make the eyeballs on these cases. So, okay, any comments on these packages? Like again, we're talking about unique shape.
I think it sort of kind of leaves it catches your eye, number one, but you automatically know what you're looking at as far as like with the flavors, like the fruits on top. You know that's an orange flavor, an apple flavor. And then with the aloe, of course, with the picture of the aloe, you automatically know what that is. For me personally, when I see a package, I look at packaging, and then I know I probably shouldn't, but I think, hey, if they took time on their packaging, their product's probably going to be better because they took a lot of time on their product. And I know
I'm
I
right
probably
there with
shouldn't
you,
think that
man.
way, but
I 100%.
Yeah, I like the design. I just wish it was glass or something.
Okay. I really think that the orange and the apple are the most successful because the shape really mimics the natural fruit. I'm not as crazy about the other ones, but these two to me really stand out.
Yeah, aloe.
Was there a comment? I'm sorry.
Yeah, there was the bottle looks like an aloe plant. It looks like there's actually an aloe leaf in the bottle.
Mm-hmm.
But it's deceptive in a fun way.
I agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. This is by Castor and Pollux. It's a line of pet care products. And they come up obviously with this clever shape for their shampoo. It's in the fire hydrant. So the whole brand itself is, you know, it says, you know, all natural from head to tail. And their taglines are things like, no humans were harmed in the production of this product. So just very, very clever, right? And then here we have Converse. And a few years back, Converse was on the brink of bankruptcy. You know, one of the most beloved brands, right? So the solution that they came out with was to play off of their basketball heritage with an all-star Chuck Taylor shoe. And they put them in these wine crates, you know, really interesting packaging design itself rather than just, you know, plain old cardboard box. So the box itself, you know, really is about preserving the shoe, keeping it clean, not just a box that you would throw away. And the result was that 2 years later, their promotional brand was so successful that Nike bought them. And they're, you know, they've grown into a multi-billion-dollar company, and they're obviously in the black. So that's a real turnaround from almost being in bankruptcy. Okay, our next category, I gotta really speed things up now, I can see, is die cut examples. And so this is where you have a window that shows you the product inside. On the left, you can see like the product, you know, you can see the rope and it's forming the like beards of the sailors. And then on the right, we have the actual animal and then showing the meat inside. I want to know how you guys feel about this. Because when I buy my meat, I don't want any connection to where it came from. I just, I'm just picking up my protein and that's it.
I'm with you. The whole meat packaging thing, anytime I see that, it grosses me out. I eat meat, but I don't want to see what I'm about to cook before I, I don't like it.
But don't you think it's a little creative?
Yeah, it is
Definitely.
creative. People in the chat like the meat.
Yeah, they like it. Okay.
I'm with you. I think the more reference you are to a cute little animal makes you less likely to buy the product.
So
Well, it's like they used to say this about Raid insecticide. It's like they turn the bugs into cute little cartoon characters and then kill them. It was like, don't remind me.
It kind of gives a farm to table feel though, because
Yeah,
it's
I think
so
that's the
minimal and the coloring is so like subdued. It's kind of rad, but yeah, I get the whole. I don't want to see my chicken.
It's kind of on the fence, so to speak.
Yeah, it's a little taboo. Okay, this isn't a die cut, but I want to know your thoughts. When I saw it, I was just in shock. Like these royal gentlemen cuts.
Well, I was just gonna say about how I like how the other one, they didn't put eyes in it, but now this completely threw me off. Yeah, with the eyes is crazy.
Yeah, I get the whole like it wants to be fancy and show that they're fancy, but like now you're making them not only like living, but they look like semi-humanistic, which is freaking me out. So,
So, all right. So I'm gonna move on so we don't torture anyone else. Okay. So I think this brand is really quite clever. So they take in these insects and they took the shape of the bug and they found the bulbs that match that shape to create these die cuts. So you can see like, the dragonfly is the long, narrow one and so forth. Any comments on this one?
genius.
This is another fun die cut window. It's a whole pasta line. These are just two of them, but they have a whole line. So, like I said, these fit multiple categories. I could have put this in the illustrative category, but Okay. All right. So our next category is POPs, and POP stands for point of purchase. A paramount objective in the field of retail is to get your product noticed. With a myriad of competitors fighting for eye time and shelf space, a POP might be one of the most effective ways of grabbing the consumer's attention, and the POP should complement and augment the current advertising campaign, and it should be designed to show the package in the best light. So when you're designing the packaging for the POP, you don't want to cover up the label like you wouldn't, like if you put the Flavor Q label at the bottom of the packaging, you wouldn't want the POP to cover that up. Does that make sense? So here we have a line of chocolates by Loving Earth. And I think this is a really great example of continuity, right? So you can get the Flavor Q from the background, and then you have these wonderful chocolate pod designs. And then, but you can just, the whole thing, just, the labels in the same place, the color, everything is just, the repetition is really quite beautiful here. And here is their POP. Any comments?
I know with our company, when we do POP stuff, they always tell us the brighter the color, the better, and make sure it's stackable. Their motto is always stack them high and watch them fly. So I think these things are perfect. These are pretty awesome.
And so you can see because of the label, right? They've done this little cutout here to make sure the label Q is always there. But it just looks like a stack of books. It's so creative. I could see it, right on the shelf of a Barnes & Noble, I'm going to check out. And I'm like, oh, I'm gonna grab one of these chocolates. So, okay, so now we're gonna play a little game. And the game is called Before and After. And it's just a visual game, and you tell me, what do you see that's different? So here we have these cough drops. So what's different from the before and the after?
A lot more color in the after.
Okay, so the main packaging is white in the before, and in the bottom.
There's also some hierarchy.
Okay, a lot more visual hierarchy, yeah. So The brand name is a lot larger, and then you see the flavor cue. Okay.
Color. A lot of the chat people are saying color on the front, more color cues for flavor.
Okay. Now, what do you think of the window?
I think visually it flows a little better with the packaging and not showing as
The
much.
window
of
is much smaller.
Yeah, Marquetta said
shrinking
less.
it down.
It makes it look fuller too, right? The top one, I feel like I'm getting gypped.
Yeah, Kelby said the shape at the bottom works better.
Yeah. Okay. Let's move on to the next one. We've got Don Julio Tequila. What are you guys' thoughts?
Just by changing the lid, it looks more expensive. It looks like a nicer grain of wood, and then that
Okay.
red label really pops.
Any other comments? That's great. Thank you for sharing.
I like the older one better. I like.
Of course you would. Go ahead.
I would say the newer one gives definitely a southwestern type look. You know, I see the guy with the cowboy hat, the darker of the wood. I see more of a southwestern look in the newer one.
Okay. So the other thing I want you to keep in mind here is how this text is not really readable with this image in the background, right? So don't do that. Please don't do that. All right. And then I think you can see just the color contrast is greatly improved. And even the way they, you know, this ornamentation, it just stands out a lot more. It's just, you know, and I think there's much better visual hierarchy taking place. And then this is more stackable, right? You think about when you're stacking this in a box, all of this is dead space. Where here, this is more, you know, thin now and taller. And so it's you're gonna probably fit, I don't know how many more in a box, but it's going to save time, money in the long run. Okay. All right, Michael's extra large peanuts. Michael's Farms extra large peanuts. Comments before and after?
Well, same with the Michael's Farm name, much bigger.
So more visual hierarchy to the brand name. Okay.
Yeah, the name's extra large now.
There you go.
I think they're trying to push the whole farm to table thing. It's authentic, I guess.
Mm-hmm. There's one of them, because the one on the right now says premium, but the one on the left doesn't. Does the one on the right feel premium?
It almost feels like the packaging's bigger too.
Okay.
The one on the left almost seems like it's something you would get from a vending machine versus like a store shelf.
There you go. So same product, $5 difference, right? One of them is 7-Eleven, the other one is Whole Foods.
Yeah, and if those peanuts aren't in the shell, there's a whole bunch of them in there. Like there's a whole bunch of peanuts in there.
All right. How about this one, before and after?
The after looks a lot fancier.
Right? The typography, the illustration, everything is just a lot cleaner. How many of you thought of pool water when you saw the one on the left?
Yeah, I thought of it like an oasis.
Not really something you want to drink, right? Okay. Oh. Okay, Munch
Sorry
Right.
about that.
It's okay. I have a child too. Munch Rights. Before and after.
The right side almost looks like it's a healthier snack versus the left.
Right. To me, the left is almost like 1990. And then the right is like, 2020.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. I've got to speed things up a little bit. Is it okay if I go 5 minutes over, Peter?
Whatever you need to do, you're doing
Okay.
great.
All right. Okay, any comments on this one, before and after? Apart from the fact that nobody should ever use Papyrus because it's a system font.
It looks like something went from being made in somebody's garage to being made in a factory. Like it looks way more high end.
Yes, yes. And then the visual hierarchy, right? The visual hierarchy on the left is on India, and the visual hierarchy on the right is on the actual brand name. Yeah. And then they, create this, architectural image that plays off of the letter A, just to re-emphasize the brand. Okay. Okay, so now we have Bare Naked. I don't know how many of you have bought Bare Naked before. They actually had a package before this one that I wasn't able to find, that I wanted to find, but this was their first one. And, you can kind of see how amateur it was in a sense, because they didn't really consider the product being filled and how it would change the way the brand name is being read, right? So this is why margin space is so critical when you're, designing for like a pouch especially. So here they have like, the bare claw marks, and they have it repeated throughout. And then they went from this packaging to this packaging where they, made the brand name nice and big. It's really centered, right? It really stands out on the shelf, where this is much smaller. This you're gonna see immediately. And then they still kept the little claw marks. Well, this is their new packaging that's coming out. I don't know if it's in the stores yet, but it'll be out soon. And they've gone away from the claw marks, and I don't know if you can see, but the bear shape is knocked out of the K. And they have like special lines for the different holidays that are coming out too. And you can see they did like a little patterning in the background for some of their specialty ones. So that's that. I'm not gonna comment on too much on that, but I just wanted to show you this. And this is the same brand, but they're gonna launch it in Australia. And they felt that the American packaging would not be the best approach in Australia. So this is what they're going to use in Australia. So I don't know if you can see, but like they have like a little bit of the bear skin on the bee. They were also experimenting with the little knockout here too. But they've gone with more of these bear characters, fun characters for
They
that.
brought back the claws too in the can version up at the top.
Yeah, so yeah.
I like that way better.
I like those claws.
So that's just something to consider, that, like the same brand can have a totally different look to a totally different target audience globally.
I like that brand right there. I like that brand.
Okay, so I'm gonna just show you guys this really quickly. That kind of concludes the little game. So this is a website called Under Consideration, and they have brand new, in which they review different brand changes. And so this was the Kashi brand, and I like to follow these. I find them really interesting. Hold on, I thought they. Oh, I reached my limit. How sad. Okay, so maybe. Oh, that is so sad.
You reached your limit just now?
Again, yes, I just now reached my limit. I guess I clicked the link too much. I'm going to go ahead and put those links in for you guys. You guys won't have a limit. It'll be kind of fun to look at the before and after, and just like the creaminess of why they changed it from this really strict geometry to like this, creaminess for the yogurt. Okay, moving on. So let's look really quickly again at the student project so you understand what you're doing. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to just walk you through the anatomy of a package design, and then I'm going to give you some resource links and some inspiration. So if you thought that all 6-sided boxes were constructed the same, that would be a mistake. These are all 6-sided boxes, and you can see that each one has a different construction depending on what its end purpose is and how it needs to be sealed or reopened and so forth. Just a little side note, while you're in school, you'll probably apply color to all the different sides, including the flaps and stuff like that. But once you get out in the real world, if you get assigned a package design project, you'll want to know specifically which flaps are going to have glue on them. The flaps that have glue on them will not have ink printed on them, because the glue works better without the ink. The ink, kind of makes it a little glossy and doesn't make the glue quite as effective. So, and it's going to be glued anyway, it's not going to be seen. So that's just something to keep in mind. When you see the little dashed lines, that represents a fold, and when you see a hard line, that represents a cut. Now, most of the templates that you see here, like the templates that you see here, obviously don't include the bleed lines. So you want the color to go past in a traditional one, because, you know, that way when you cut down, the color is still, you know, not short of the line. And then, of course, the other thing that I don't have set up here is the margin space, the safe zones. So this is just something I really want to caution you guys with, because I saw this quite a bit in your letterhead packaging, is you don't want your text too close to the edge. It causes visual tension. So just kind of like I was pointing out with the bare naked, you want that breathing space, right? Because when you have breathing space, it allows the center content to really shine. So just make sure you lay it all out accordingly as you're working. So this is just, you can see, this is Sephora's hair color. And on the right, you can see the package design template. And then you can see the flaps that would go in as it all tucks up together. So this is a list of some of the elements that would be on a typical food packaging. I want to specify that it's food. One difference is this is obviously like box stuff, because I have a net weight. If it was a bottle, then it would be the volume, and it would then be specified in fluid ounces and millimeters, right? Or liters, so to speak. So I put a little asterisk next to the ones that are most crucial, that you want to make sure that you're including if you were assigned a food brand. Obviously, if you guys chose a beauty product, you would have all of these things except the nutrition facts label. But you would still list ingredients, you would still list country of origin, you would still include all of the other stuff. So if you want to take a screenshot of this, if you, I know it's on the assignment, but if you want to take a screenshot of this just to have a list as well, it's just Command-Shift-3. And then I'm going to go ahead and move on. Okay. Okay, so as you begin this week, don't skip over the phase of sketching. Sketching is really important. I'm a firm believer that if you sketch, you're going to produce a better product in the end, and you're going to save yourself more time in the end. If you jump right onto trying to design on the computer, you're going to probably end up wasting more time than you need to. Sketching is going to give you more ideas, and it's just free because it's paper and it's just cheap. And so you feel comfortable to just, you know, really, you know, fan out your ideas. Personally, I really like the idea of the wheels on the fruit. I would have preferred that they went with this one, but you can still see, you know, sketching produces a better result. So this is, again, is the anatomy of the packaging that I wanted to go over with you guys. So on the front is known as the P.
Where are we gonna get nutrition facts?
I'm gonna walk you through that.
Okay.
All right. So the front is known as the PDP, which stands for the Principal Display Panel. Okay. And on the Principal Display Panel, you obviously want to have your logo and the product name. You want a product description, and you want any certifications, such here you can see I have the organic certification, and you want the net weight. All of that should be present on the front, okay? And then immediately to the right, this is a pouch, so the right is going to be the back. Immediately to the right is where you would place the nutrition facts. Now, in the exceptions to that rule would be like packaging where the side is too narrow, such as say rice-a-roni or macaroni, you know, packaging, the side is too narrow to include the nutrition label, so then it would go on the back. But for like cereal box and things like that, you'll see the nutrition label immediately to the right of the PDP. Now, with that, you want to have the ingredients, and they want no intervening. This is the federal government, the FDA, no intervening between the nutrition label and the ingredients. So that's why you'll always see the nutrition label and either the ingredients listed to the right or the ingredients listed directly below. So you can't put any decorative elements, you can't put any like slogans, sayings, nothing of that nature, you know, little, whatever you want, none of that can be intervened between those elements. Then of course you're gonna have the UPC label for scanning. Here, they've included a brand story. They've included some of their product claims, a little bit of information about the product. They've also included the country of origin, which is required, and the company info. The company info might be a physical mailing address, it might be a web address, it might be a phone number, it might be all of the three. It just kind of depends on the packaging. So here we have a liquid bottle, so you can kind of see some of those same elements again, right? And now the nutrition label you're going to choose is all dependent on the type of packaging that you want. Unfortunately, when I go into presentation mode, I'm not able to click the live link, so I have all the links up. And I'm going to put these on Slack, all of these links, as soon as this session ends. So any of these links, you can go to Slack and you can find them there, okay? But this is an online nutrition label, so you can use this to make your own label. You'll choose what type of label you want. So let's say I have a candy bar, I would choose this one. I would then come in and edit this content information, and then I would just hit generate, and it produces my label for me. I can download the image and use it directly on my packaging, okay? So that's the first one. The next one is the barcode, and I just wanted to include this just to show you guys a creative example of a barcode. I'm not expecting you guys to do this unless you have lots of time this week and you think it would really enhance your brand, but only if you felt like it would enhance your brand. But this is just really clever because they do it in the same, like, you know, Mesoamerican art style. So it's not just like done for just to do it, but it actually like fits the brand. But the barcode has to have a 70% color contrast, right? And it has to be black, you know, dark color off of a light background. That is the only way that the barcode is read, okay? So you gotta make sure you do that. So a lot of times when you look at packaging, you'll see that they place a white box behind the UPC code in order for it to be scanned. And this is just common practice. It doesn't necessarily look pretty, but we're just used to it. So that's that. Now, I also have this website called the Online Barcode Generator, and it not only has the UPC barcode, but it has every other barcode that you can think of. So whether you're looking for postal barcodes around the planet, or you're looking for like an ESPN number for like a book, right? ISBN, that's what I meant to say. Oh no, I guess my husband loves sports. So I must have been stuck in my head. Whether you're looking for a QR code, right? And you can put like custom text in there. So like if you want to put your own name or website in there, you can make a custom QR code. So there's a lot of stuff here that you can look at. So I'm just going to go back to the UPC, and then you can determine like if you need an 8-digit or a 13-digit one. And then you can just, you know, it has some default text, or you can put your own, and then you can just download it. Okay. So that'll be one of the links that I'll provide you guys with. So the next thing is your certifications. And there's just two that I want to highlight with you guys, because a lot of you have chosen tea, chocolate, coffee, and that kind of stuff. And so two of them that you often see on those products are the fair trade, right? This is the international one, and this is the American one. So if it's a product is made in the USA, then you're going to see this one. If a product's made overseas, you're going to see this one, right? And what that just means is that it's a product that benefits the farmers and workers involved in the production. So it's not a bunch of people that are working for pennies, and then only the, you know, main company is the one who's making all the money. So that's what the fair trade means. So you may want to include that. And then of course we have the Rainforest Alliance, which just updated their logo recently. And this one is very similar. It can often be found on coffee, tea, chocolate, fruit juice, and things of that nature. And this product, this label just means that it was produced with the smallest amount of effect on the planet. So it's really sustainable and environmentally friendly. Now, obviously I've got lots of other labels that you may be using as well. Now, where can you get some of these labels? You can go to places like Seek Logo, So let's say I'm working on a project and I need the PayPal logo. I could come here, type in PayPal, and I can specify, okay, I only want Adobe Illustrator files, or, I'll take the other vector format, encapsulated PostScript, or even scalable vector graphics, right? And then I can just download whichever logo I want. And it is a vector version, so it'll be able to, retain that capability. So they do have quite a bit here at Seek Logo. Most of these I found at Seek Logo, so that you can use them. If not, you can do searches. I would do searches specifically for vector versions, or EPS is a lot of times a keyword as well. And I'll provide that link to you guys. So the last part of the project is the mock-up. And Adobe Stock has a lot of great mock-ups. So you may want to use your Adobe Stock for this particular part of the project. But I've also included a place where you can get free stock. And this is mock-ups of Mockup World. And if you come to categories, they have a food and beverage category, for example. And they'll direct you to where you can get these mock-ups if you think that this is something that would be helpful for your project to enhance it. So I just want to give you guys a couple ideas for mock-ups. Sometimes if you have a pattern in the background, it might be kind of fun to just continue the pattern in your mock-up. And I see this, quite often. Here they've taken this little part of the illustration and they put it in monochromatic tone as a way to advertise that. In this particular mock-up, this is an Indonesian brand. And they have a whole line. They have like ducks and everything like that. It's all water. So again, this is just going back to how global brands are so different. Because when I see a swan in the water, I think of dirtiness. But obviously there they think of more purity, right? But here you can see they place the brand into this scene. So that's an idea that you could do. Another popular mock-up is to actually include like the pure product that's inside of it, right? So you can see these olive leaves and these olives. Here they've made like an artistic design with the chocolate, right? Kind of like brushing the chocolate. And then we don't have time in this class, but if you're curious and you really want to learn more about how to make your own packaging, I would definitely recommend using the 3D tool in Illustrator. You're just going to save each face, right, of your package, and you save them in the symbols panel. So it's a little different than like say constructing a brush, or you would save it in the actual swatches panel, the different pieces. Here you're going to save it in the symbols panel, and then you can map the artwork onto your box. Or even better yet, experiment and learn Adobe Dimensions. It's really creative, it's really fun, so you can play around with that. So the last thing, thank you guys for your patience, I'm so sorry for going over, is I have 3 websites, and these are where I got all these wonderful slides today. The Die Line, Penta Awards, and Packaging of the World. And I'm just going to show you guys these really, really fast. So this is the Die Line, and the great thing about the Die Line, I actually give these to my kid, is they have, if you go to popular, they have like curated topics that you can look at. So, whoops. So some of you, for example, they have like this one on, awesome coffee packaging. So if you guys chose coffee packaging, you may want to look at this one, and you can get all kinds of inspiration by looking at it. You can also search packaging down here at the very bottom. They have a search field. So I could type in, maybe beauty, and those products would come up, right? So that's how that works. It's a great website. Check them out. The next one is Penta Awards, and they're all about packaging. This is an Australian-based company, and we have a lot here. You can also search packaging, going back different years. You can search by category as well. So, and you know, you can just get a lot of inspiration. I think I took this, yeah, I took the search off by coming here. And then the last one is packaging of the world. And so this can give you just a little bit more of a global approach. And there's a lot of fun stuff here. And you can also search by categories too. So if you're specifically looking, I'll just go back to coffee again. To that, you can look at various packaging for that. Okay, and that concludes my presentation. I'm so sorry for going over. Any comments?
I have a quick question about I think somebody asked this like way in the beginning of the class as well. If we have, for instance, I have soap and the packaging, the two pieces that are offered to us are like containers. Do you still want us to use the container that is given to us, or do you want us to go and find a soap packaging and make our own?
Peter, how do you feel about that? Personally, I'm okay if you want to find a different package. That's fine with me. So.
Yeah, it's sort of an advanced topic if you want to find a different package. We give you specific instructions on how to use the templates we provided. But if you don't want to use those, you're kind of going off on your own, but that's fine if you want to.
No, that's fine. I just want to make sure, like, if I wanted to go out, am I allowed to?
Yes, you are allowed to.
Okay, and my second question is, something I noticed with a lot of those brands is that not all of them fell, like, we picked 6 colors, obviously, for our logo design. With our packaging, our coloring doesn't have to fall into those 6 colors, right? We just want it to be complementary or in that wheelhouse.
You're not, you don't have to use one of those color relationships as your palette. So your palette, the color relationships part is really just to get you started thinking about color, but your palette can be any colors you choose that go with your assigned color. So your assigned color is the only given. The rest of the colors are totally up to you.
Okay, so for our packaging that we're building right now, we don't have to out of the 6 like colors we picked, we don't have to fall into that category.
Well, we want you to build a branded look to everything, so there should be some crossover consistency between your identity package and the packaging.
Yeah, but if I added like a tan, it's not going to be.
Yes, you can add more colors for sure.
Okay, okay, cool. Thank you.
I like the old one. I like the old one.
The old one, what?
Yes, because no, somebody asked will we be able to put it in our portfolio, and I'm just saying I like the old one personally. Okay, we got all that. I like the old one though. I like the old one when we were doing comparisons, the old version to the new version. I like the old one.
Okay.
Okay, I just put the links up here and I just put them up on the Slack channel. So you can either grab them off of Slack or they put them in the chat field here as well. So.
Great, Sabrina. Thank you so much. That was wonderful.
Okay, I'm really sorry for going over everybody's time. I really appreciate your time.
We're all starving now.
All right.
Hi. Have a good night, everybody.
Bye.